Hey everybody, I'm Dino, DP cameraman for This Old House, taking you behind the scenes, sneak a little preview. Don't tell anyone we did this. It's our little tour. I know everybody likes to watch television, but we also listen to it too, which is why I'm here with the man, Jim Keany, audio for This Old House, Ask This Old House, and a longer list I'm going to get time for right now. But let's talk about This Old House, and let's talk about Jim Keany. How did you, when did you first fall in love with audio and say, audio, I must do more of this?
I grew up playing music, so by the time I was into high school, I was playing in bands, and I decided to do a 2-year school after that. So I got into a recording arts program, and that led to working in radio. So that was my first audio job. So I did that for about a decade, and then I kind of did some other things like live sound for at some local venues, and worked at some recording studios, opened my own recording studio, and then eventually found my way into production sound for TV and film and commercials.
And I know because we've talked about it, garage band, blading bands, you've had that fun as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. And all throughout, and I still play here and there. So
awesome,
yeah.
Awesome. Man after my own heart. The lack of talent never stopped me from getting together with ever individual or
Yeah.
band that would let me get in with them and have fun. It's a great time, much like we have here at This Old House.
Mm-hmm.
This Old House, I imagine it's a different kind of beast than you do. For me as a cameraman, it's different than it is anywhere else. How is it different, and how is it challenging, and what kind of responsibilities do you feel?
So when I show up on This Old House each day, I will typically bring my equipment in. I'll make sure that I figure out what kind of frequencies we need for all the wireless we're going to put on people, and I'll get the camera set up with audio and time code to make sure everything's synced together between audio files and camera files.
Now, I know for myself, for a cameraman, This Old House has many different challenges that nobody else has. What's some of the typical challenges every day you come in that you face?
Doing audio on This Old House is pretty interesting. It's unlike any other show I've worked on because we're on an active construction site. So, yeah. It can be dangerous at times. You have to really watch where you're going and make sure you're not getting in the way too much. And but as far as audio goes, we pretty much wire everybody up with a wireless lavalier. So I'm basically just making sure that everyone who has a wireless on sounds good, nice and clean. You can't see it because we try to hide it on the show. And yeah, just making sure that everybody on the crew, the director, producer, crew, everybody can hear the audio, the best it can possibly be. And it's interesting on this show because there's so much noise in this show in the background. There's hammering and sawing. And this was the first show that I worked on where I realized I could actually let some of that fly because, it's part of what we're doing, and, it makes sense to hear that in the background. Other shows, you would be like, what's going on right now? We got to cut, We
got to stop.
Yeah.
Oh, my God, a mosquito.
Yeah, exactly. But no, this show's really not precious about those background sounds.
I know we always want it to be as natural as possible for our audience. I mean, that's the thing I admire about the show and the way we do it. Mm-hmm. And having done a lot of years of audio myself, it's so hard because I'm on top of the people. But if I hear a noise, it could be jewelry. It could be anything. I try to be as sneaky as possible with you when I turn around and I look at you. Mm-hmm. If you look back at me, you heard it too. If you don't connect, I'm like, psst, hey, Jim.
Yeah.
Did you hear that? And as long as you say it's clear, we move on.
Yeah, that's one of the challenges of the job is discerning which noise is acceptable and which noise might not be acceptable. So if a plane suddenly flies overhead, that might be something where we would want to stop and wait for it to clear before we continue. But yeah, if it's sawing or hammering, a lot of times we just let that go because it makes sense, in the show, in the context of the show. So
awesome.
Yeah.
So Jim, between the technology and your knowledge, there is a lot of trust that gets put in your hands each and every day.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. So I actually have the ability to listen to everybody's microphones. So a lot of my friends and family sometimes will ask me do you ever hear any really juicy stuff going on in the background? But the reality is the reality is a lot of it's not juicy, and sometimes it's things you don't really want to hear. It's people, maybe hitting the bathroom in between scenes, or maybe they're taking an important phone call or something like that. So I really have no interest in hearing that. Plus, I don't want to hear multiple things going on in my ears. So yeah, I give people their privacy. I don't want them to ever feel like I'm listening for whatever reason. I'll do a wellness check here and there if we're about to go into a scene. Before I'm broadcasting, anyone's mics out to the crew and everybody on set, I'll check in on each one and make sure it still sounds clean. It hasn't moved around. You know, it's still there. It's still even working.
Yeah.
Because sometimes batteries die, things like that. So, yeah. But other than that, no, I mean, yeah, I think the key to getting the trust is, you know, not making it weird, you know? Like, I think that's really it.
Well, I know you've got a very specific toy. I had a little pack on the side of the camera, or 2 or 3 or more. And I know you've got a specific pack, so can we talk about your kit?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. All right, so this is my mixer bag. I typically wear this bag on my body with the harness here. I got little straps, and it's all battery powered, so I'm, you know, completely mobile. I can go anywhere with this. The way this is laid out is this is the mixer here. So instead of like a mixing board with like long faders, they're just knobs instead. This can take 12 inputs, so we could actually have 12 people on mic and record them through this recorder here. These are the receivers. So the wireless packs like this go on each of the cast members' bodies, and I'll just show you the other end here. This is the end. There's a little mount for it, and typically use some kind of an adhesive, and we'll just kind of hide it on the inside of the clothing. You wouldn't see the cable hanging out. It would go underneath the shirt, but you get the idea. And the pack usually goes in their back pocket or just somewhere hidden. And what's great about this is if you look down here, this is Kevin's mic we were using earlier today. It's sending out my main mix to the camera and to everybody's ears on their wireless systems, but it records each lavalier on a separate individual track, which is nice for post-production if they need it, because a lot of times there could be 3 people on camera, one of them's talking, 2 of them might be working, banging hammers or something, or doing, you know, maybe they're just like fidgeting, they're touching their mic and making it, you know, sort of sound scratchy. So post can actually go in and just pick the individual tracks of each person's microphone that they want to hear at that exact moment, which is great. It just gives them some freedom in post. And then down here, this is a transmitter pack. It looks just like these ones that go on the talent. And this sends out to camera. So that's how camera's hearing my mix. And from the camera, we send a mix to the crew. And the director sends a mix from his microphone to the cameraman. And as you can see, this adds up pretty fast with all these different wireless systems that we have going on here. So, but this is my baby here. This is the bag, and this is what I'm using day to day on this old house.
Awesome, Jim. I never had anything this sophisticated. I had to add receivers to the camera and use splitters, things I don't miss. Yeah. I don't miss it all.
And like the camera's not heavy enough on its own. Gotta put a whole bunch of audio stuff on top of it.
Yeah. Well, I would say to them, somebody get a sandbag that I can throw on this? What's 24 pounds between friends? Yeah. I think the other big challenge that I had when I did audio, or even with the camera, and I know you have, we come up to people, and so many of our guests have never been on television. They've never done anything like this. You're trying to put a microphone where it's hidden in their shirt, and I've got a big camera in their face. So you have an approach that works every time, and it's so important you and I put them at ease.
Yeah, I think you can typically feel the energy on somebody when you approach them with a microphone, like after you've been doing it long enough. So instantly I can tell if the person sort of is kind of like a little hesitant or whatever. Sometimes they're all about it, like, oh yeah, throw it on there. Like, you know, they're doing this like they're getting frisked or something. Yeah. You're like, no, it's not going to be like that invasive. But yeah, some people are a little more timid about it. So I just try to do my best job to explain who I am, introduce myself, and show them what it is, how it's going to go on them, because we do hide the mic. So I guess it's somewhat invasive because you have to probably, drop a cable down inside of your clothing. But yeah, I think it's just about communication. It's about making sure that they get it, and then then at that point they're usually like, oh, okay, I get it. And they just help you out and make it happen. So. Yeah.
And they're comfortable because by the end of it, they hand your microphone back. They take it off themselves. They've already figured that out, which I'm like, no, don't touch the mics.
Yeah, sometimes it's helpful. Sometimes it's here's a big ball of spaghetti back, and you're like, oh, great, thanks for helping.
I know in a normal day, and whenever I did audio, and somewhat of a typical day, we'll have, 2 microphones, 3, even 4. And for you with your technology, not a problem. But we just recently wrapped in Westerly, Rhode Island. And I know we went beyond the 4, we went beyond the 5, and looking at the expression on your face, we went beyond that. How many did you end up setting up that day?
Yeah, that was a hectic shoot. I think we hit 13 channels of wireless just for audio, and then there's wireless video as well. But But yeah, I think we had 10 people wearing labs, and I think we had our three other channels which we used to send my mix to the camera, and then we send a mix to the crew so they can all hear on their wireless headsets, and then we send a feed from the director's microphone to your ear so he can tell you how to frame it up and stuff like that for camera shots. But yeah, that was a hectic shoot. The rap shoots are always kind of like that because it's always like, you know, the whole cast plus the homeowners plus maybe the apprentices, so it adds up fast. But yeah, coordinating and making sure all the different frequencies like mathematically will jive. That's kind of part of the challenge there. But it worked out. Came out
awesome,
fine.
Awesome. And from the comments we get, people enjoy the show, and that's what we like to hear.
Yeah, I think the what they say is like if no one notices the sound, you're probably doing a good job.
Yeah.
You don't want to get noticed, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I'm not going to notice you anymore.
Oh, good.
So that's the way it should be. Now listen, I hope you enjoyed this video, talking with the man Jim Keany. Send us your comments. Let us know what you think. Let us know if you'd like to see more. Let me know who else you'd like to talk to in the cast and crew. It's all great.
Maybe I'll interview you on the next one.
I hope so.
You've been doing camera for how many years? 20 something?
Only 20.
Only 20. Okay.
Yeah.
Only
the first 20.
Only 20.
The last 20.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
Great hanging with Jim.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks.
Talk to you next time.